Good afternoon, Patriots, and welcome to the 153rd audio chat on the Q News Patriot Rumble Channel series. I am the Q News Patriot, joined again today by UFO contactee and super Earth proponent, Alisa. My name is SGanon. Patriots, the conversation we're going to have today is going to be one that's going to push and challenge our belief systems, our concepts, and probably our personal patience levels as well. We're going to tackle the all taboo subject of what in the world is really going on here. What is the nature of the earth? What is the beautiful and magnificent rock that we're all upon here and created living living upon in the world? Excuse me there. Alisa has a very interesting story and a number of really credible UFO contact stories to back up her opinions and sort of her lenses on a lot of this. And I think the conversation is going to be very, very well presented and digestible in a way that will sort of span the gamut, bridge the chasm, if you will, between the very divisive groups on this particular subject. Alisa, thank you very much for joining me and for coming back on the show.
Well, it's nice to be back. It's been a little while, hasn't it? So,
Indeed, it
and
has.
that's been due to, me having a new job. So it's been kind of difficult to make shows here lately, but I'm getting back around to doing it. So, and I'm really glad to be here, SG. Thank you for inviting me back, my friend.
Well, I appreciate you coming back. Lisa, probably for some of my audience, you're going to be meeting them for the first time. We were last on air together right around a year ago or so. You have a UFO contact story that I find very fascinating. You have a very unique lens on the nature of a lot of cosmic things. Do you mind to give us a little bit of a recap on Alisa and then help move us into the broader discussion, our belief systems, our concepts, and good afternoon, Patriots, and welcome to the 153rd audio chat on the Q News Patriot Rumble Channel series. I am the Q News Patriot, joined again today by UFO contactee and super Earth proponent, Alisa. My name is SGanon. Patriots, the conversation we're going to have today is going to be one that's going to push and challenge our belief systems, our concepts, and probably our personal patience levels as well. We're going to tackle the all taboo subject of what in the world is really going on here. What is the nature of the earth? What is the beautiful and magnificent rock that we're all upon here and created living upon in the world? Excuse me there. Alisa has a very interesting story and a number of really credible UFO contact stories to back up her opinions and sort of her lenses on a lot of this. And I think the conversation is going to be very, very well presented and digestible in a way that will sort of span the gamut, bridge the chasm, if you will, between the very divisive groups on this particular subject. Alisa, thank you very much for joining me and for coming back on the show.
Well, it's nice to be back. It's been a little while, hasn't it? So,
Indeed, it
and
has.
that's been due to, me having a new job. So it's been kind of difficult to make shows here lately, but I'm getting back around to doing it. So, and I'm really glad to be here, SG. Thank you for inviting me back, my friend.
Well, I appreciate you coming back. Lisa, probably for some of my audience, you're going to be meeting them for the first time. We were last on air together right around a year ago or so. You have a UFO contact story that I find very fascinating. You have a very unique lens on the nature of a lot of cosmic things. Do you mind to give us a little bit of a recap on Alisa and then help move us into the broader discussion today?
Okay. Well, this will be a recap on the last show that we did and a lot of questions that came with that. And I'm glad I'm here to be able to answer that. Um, I am considered a contactee, and that is because I have met extraterrestrials, as they like to be called nowadays. It's star families. Okay, because there's so many different varieties of extraterrestrial beings that are out there, so that just sums it up, star families. And I want to say about 10 years ago, I had a major download that was given to me by God. And I wasn't expecting it. I had no idea that this was coming. But I heard a very comforting voice whenever I went to bed one night. I was sleeping and I heard, Alisa, get up. And just for some reason, it was just such a loving, fatherly feeling that I complied. So as soon as I stood up, this white light hit me and it went slap through my body. And I can see it going through my body, as strange as that may sound, but I can see it going down through the floor and getting going through the ground. And for some reason, I can see that it connected to Gaia's core. And once it connected to her core, it rebounded and came back up. So I had a white light going down, then I had a white light going up. And in the process of that, I could feel all these vibrations and energies and frequencies and stuff, and I can tell that they're talking to each other. And I realized that, Sol, the sun, was actually talking to Gaia, Earth. Okay. And it was very, very romantic. It was very overwhelming with love. It was like a long lost missing partner or something like this here. It was very, very dramatic in the emotional feelings of a long lost one. But as this energy is running through me, the band around me gets wider and wider until I'm actually consumed inside this white light. And I can't see anything except white, but I can feel and see a vibration. And the only way I can see the vibration is because my eyes are shaking, because this vibration is so powerful. And as it's flowing through me, like I said, I can feel this connection between Gaia and Sol. And then it's like whenever it gets to its peak, I feel like my entire body is going to snap because it's vibrating so bad, but it's not painful. I'm in a total state of bliss. And then it gets to a point where it stops, and the light is coming back down on me, I can see that I'm above a grid, and I can see all of these other brothers and sisters like myself. There was 200 of us, okay? And I just knew there was 200 of us that was set up across this grid. They were going through the same thing that I was going through. Excuse me. And then I can see that I'm over a grid. And then I didn't really realize that I was inside of a glass dome as of yet, but I can see that everything is flat looking. And that kind of surprised me. It wasn't registering in my mind because looks like I'm looking down at a world map, except it's not quite as it is supposed to be. But as this light is coming all the way down, I get put back down in my room on my feet. And then I collapsed, and I was like, what was that? What just happened to me? I had no idea what occurred. And then whenever I got up, God was telling me that there a lot of information is being given to me, and that I'm supposed to go forth and share this information. And this was like my wake up call, if you want to call it that. But I'm still rattled because I have no idea what just happened to me. But it was still a really blissful feeling. I didn't feel scared or harmful or anything like this here. I was just overwhelmingly excited in a loving way, that I was just mesmerized by it, what had happened. And that incident itself actually turned my hair white in one shot, just like that. It turned my hair pure white like paper. Okay, this camera don't do it no justice because it's pure white. And I asked, what had happened again, and God told me that was the energy that was running through me, that it actually turned my hair white. But from that point on, I started getting these downloads of information that God wanted me to know and experience from my perspective. It's kind of like watching a movie for the beginning part of it. God wanted me to see these things, and then I would respond off of the things that I seen with emotions, okay? Because it's like watching a movie, except you're being told that this is real information that you need to consume, and it kind of does rattle the system. And uh, but then there's other times that God showed me these scenarios that I can actually feel what the other party was feeling. Okay. And therefore, it caused me not to judge so much or anything like this here, because I can feel what they're going through. I can feel and hear their thoughts. And you never know what a person is going through unless you're in their shoes. And God gave me that personal experience. So therefore, judgment and condemnation, just went away, because you just don't know why they're making their choices and the things that they're doing, because of the fact that they are in their perspective and in their own dream. Okay. So, but as things went along, several years later, I was standing at my kitchen sink, and I could see that there was this couple's backyard, and it kind of riled me because, the only way you can get there is go through my front yard. And so I went out the door in a little bit of huff, wanting to know who these people were. And so as I got closer to these people, I felt like a deja vu feeling. It's like, wait a minute, I know these people. And the closer I got to them, I can feel this love, this welcoming, this safeness, nothing's wrong. And it made me very easily go up to these people. And this was Hanai and Kalen. They are Tartarians, okay? and they told me they were coming to get me because I was going to a meeting. And I was like, what kind of meeting? I'm being very compliant because the energy is so wonderful. There's no fear in this, okay? But yet I still know these people from somewhere, and I just can't put my finger on it. But Hanai turned around and he touched the air. And whenever he touched the air, a compartment opened up, a door opened up to a compartment. And I can see that you can go inside of it and you can sit down. So we went inside of this here compartment, and Kaylin was sitting next to me, and Hanai was in the front, and there was nothing there, my brothers and sisters. There wasn't no dash, steering wheel, pedals, or anything like this here. Hanai just ran his hands across a panel, and apparently this thing just took off by itself. And I had mentioned it, like in the last video I did here, is that wherever I looked, I can see outside. That was very, very strange because it didn't matter where I looked, I could see outside. It was like it was watching my eyes where I was looking. But I can see that it's going up, and I can see that, my backyard's getting smaller. I can see my house, then I can see the town and so forth, and it's just getting higher and higher. And I'm just mesmerized by all of this. And Kaylin is asking me if I am okay, and I told her I've been waiting for this my whole life. For some reason, I said that. But it's just fascinating. And as we got higher, I can see, like the towns, the whole state. And then it got to be where I can see like the parts of America, the East Coast of America. And the further up that we went, I can start seeing these other continents. And it's not quite registering in my head, how I can see that stuff. But the higher that I got, I can see that everything is flat. Okay, so I do want to give credit to our flat earthers out there, because they have been a big help to figuring out the big puzzle, this massive puzzle that we're all trying to figure out. They had a big piece of the clue that's helped us understand at least this part inside of the dome, that it is flat. So, and then Kaylin gets my attention again as this thing is turning, and she's pointing. She wants me to look up and to my right. So whenever I look up that way, I can see that we're in space and that we're going towards this ship, this massive. It's not really a mothership, but to us, it would be considered a mothership. Okay. And like I said in the last video, it's more of a round shape, has a tiny bulge at the center of it going around, but the entire thing is absolutely smooth. There's no rivets, there's no creases, there's no seams in this thing. It actually looks like it's just one object, one piece of something. It's absolutely fascinating. And then whenever we went up to the hangar to get in it, it just like it was a clear force field kind of a thing that we just went through. And I didn't know it at that time, but whenever we went through that force field, it scanned us. Okay, I didn't realize why until later, but it has to do with your DNA. You can't get in unless you have the right DNA. I guess that's what it is, because it's like a security lock system. But it was very fascinating to me that I got to be in this here hangar, and I could see all these different ships in different sizes. And then I realized that these ships are being held to the walls and the floors and stuff by magnetics. Okay, and I thought that was very, very cool, because you can see ships that are on their side. Okay, now some of them seemed like it was a fold-out panel that they were sitting on, but you can see some that was actually sticking like to the walls. It was very, very fascinating. And Hanai and Kaylin again is telling me to come on, and I'm just mesmerized by this is just fascinating to me. And they're very, very nice people. I have to tell you that they're very, very loving, nice people. And anyway, long story short, because I told us in the last video, they wanted to take me there because of a meeting that I was supposed to go to. And I'm just being compliant because I'm just happy-go-lucky. I'm just, wow, this is incredible. And thinking, why me? That was a big question that kept running through my mind, is why me, why me? And God kept telling me, it's because you said yes. I'm like, okay. So I got to see Gaia from space. And there was this giant glass panels, I want to say, but they weren't panels. I figured out how they do that later on, because the outside of it is very smooth, but yet they have all this nanotechnology and stuff that's on the inside, that the screen, whatever wall it is, it'll show you what's outside. And I thought that was pretty cool, because it'll transform it into what looks like a window to you. But as I was looking out there, I can see that Gaia, it has something on top of her, and it's not quite registering what I asked them. I said, is that Gaia? And they said, yes, it is. I'm like, what is that on the side of it? And they're telling me that we're inside this here dome. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm on a round planet, blah, 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 same thing as everybody else. And they're letting me know that no, that this is a dome that was put here a very long time ago, and that we're all trapped inside of it. And it's sitting on the side of her. I wanted to show you this, okay? But it sits on the side of her like this here. Okay, it would take 6 of these to go all the way around her. She is considered a super Earth. Okay, she's absolutely beautiful and she's breathtaking. She's got land on the top and land on the bottom, and she's pretty much all water in her center. Okay, she does have some scraggly islands at the equator and stuff like here, but for the most part, she looks like an apple that's been cored out, and then there's water all in the center of it. She's absolutely breathtaking. But then she's got this here dome that's on the side of her head like that. She's like the prom queen with something wrong with her. But they let me know that this here dome that we are inside of is actually it's 100,000 miles around. Okay, that's why it would take 6 of them to go all the way around her. She is 600,000 miles around. She is considered a super Earth, and she's absolutely beautiful. I can see why they call her the blue diamond. Okay, in the solar system and in space, she is absolutely a beautiful emerald-looking diamond with the green top and greenish bottom. Okay, but on the inside of that dome, my brothers and sisters, we are slap dab in the center of this. Okay, I think a lot of people have heard about the ice walls. Well, there's one in the center that's 25,000 miles around, and then there's another one that's a little further that is 50,000 miles around. Okay, and then the last outer one would be the wall of the dome itself. Okay, now in that center one is 25, well, it's actually 27,000 miles. Okay, we're going to be dealing with a lot of nines. Okay, and that's how it works on this particular scenario. But uh, they tell us that the Earth is about 25,000 miles around, and that's a total lie to us. Okay, that is the ice wall that surrounded us is 27,000 miles. Okay, now that ice wall is down as of about a year ago. Okay, a lot of people don't know that. I'm sure the higher ups and the to-dos do know that it is down. They have accomplished on getting both of these ice walls down, and there's no more barriers going up, but there is barriers going down, and that is with pretty much like force fields, except they're going in the opposite direction. And reason for that is that the waters here where we are at cannot mix with the waters outside of the ice wall, nor the ones outside of that, because those creatures and everything has been isolated from each other for a very, very long time. So that would be ludicrous to put those animals mixed with the animals that we have now in the ocean. Okay, that would be kind of like catastrophic. That would not be good. But um, the dome itself, it's a frequency, my brothers and sisters. Okay, it was covered in ice for a very, very long time. That makes a very beautiful, perfect movie theater. Okay, that they can project whatever they want onto the screen, so to speak, and they have been doing that for a very, very long time. And it has been well over 12,000 years since this dome has been put up. That has actually put us through what is called 3 major resets inside the dome here, and they have stripped our history from us, and they have done many things to us to reset the storyline, to push their narrative. And therefore, we're supposed to already be at like the Jetson stage, and they have denied us that. Okay, they have denied us that, and but what is making things change right now is the fact that in
People are dumping.
2012 we hit the photon belt. Our star hit the photon belt. And what does that mean, my brothers and sisters? Well, in the galaxy, there is a 2,000 light year span of pure light from the core of the galaxy. Okay, and it's in a band on both sides of the galaxy. And as the stars are going through the galaxy, they go through this photon belt. I actually call it a galactic star wash because once the stars hit that photon belt, there's so much energy, it's like a supercharge, and therefore the stars and the planets and everything else gets cleansed. Nothing negative at all can dwell in that light. Some would consider it heaven because nothing evil or negative can go within that light belt. Okay, and what it does is that thousands of years ago we were supposed to be already getting prepped and ready, and we should already be at the top of the Jetson stage before we hit that photon belt, and we did not. Just because of the powers that be, this particular scenario, this dream, this life that you were having got hijacked. Okay, that's the best way to describe it, is it got hijacked. And now here it is, down to the wire before we could hit the photon belt. I'm going to go all the way back to 2008 up until 2012. Okay, in those 4 years, there was a massive battle in space. A lot of people call it Star Wars. A lot of people have written about stories about Star Wars and stuff like this here. Well, this was a real battle between the good and the bad on the galactic stage. We're talking the ships and the guns and the lasers and all that kind of good stuff. It was a very massive battle. And in the process of all this battle that is happening, I find this very, very fascinating, because the star is moving as this war is going on, and everybody's trying to keep up pace, because the star Sol is hauling ass to get to the photon belt, and then you got all these other people who are trying to protect the star and all the planets that's within it and all the people within it, so that it can get across that finish line. And it's such a massive battle. There is, God called so many different races and so many different beings from the galaxy itself and asked for their help. And anything above 5D, you don't pretty much have no weaponry or anything like this here, because you can manifest things. But you can go all the way up to, like 4. There's 7 levels in between each dimension. Okay, we're supposed to be at 4-7. Okay, and we're not, as far as the outer part looks. Okay, but all the way up until you get to 5D, you can go extremely good or you can go extremely bad on that line of 4D. Okay, and that means that you have these high-ranking big dogs, alien races, that are spiritual and technological, and they have weapons. Okay, and these ones are the ones that got called, because there is a positive to every negative and there's a negative to every positive. So all of the bad guys that were coming in, that was attacking, got and brought their counterparts, their positive parts. Okay, just exactly the same, except the light is always more powerful. Okay, but you can call it karma. But God called in all of the ones, that way that was a fair fight there, yet we did have the advantage because of the light. Well, this massive battle went on, and it went on for hundreds of years, because they're keeping pace as Saul is hauling ass to this threshold to get inside the photon belt. And just as Saul is getting to the photon belt in 2012, this is one of the most amazing things that I got to see. Now you got all of these ships, and now some people call them avians or Aryans. They're like the blue bird people. Okay, these are very high advanced extraterrestrials. Okay, they actually helped with putting the dome up too, but I'll get back to that into a minute. But what they were called in for, because they are energy, they are pure energy based beings. Okay, they came in and they put like a net around the solar system. Okay, now how many ships would that take to surround our solar system as big as it is? We're talking trillions, trillions of ships that came in and surrounded us like a force field bubble. Okay, while the other guys are on the outside. Nobody could get in and nobody could get out. Okay, that was the way it was. It was locked. So God called them in and said, block it. So this is whenever the shit's going to hit the fan. So, but the guys on the outside, they want to, get in and try to destroy us as much as they can, but that's being prevented. So now they got the wars out there. We're being covered in a bubble. Everybody's keeping pace with the star, which I find is fascinating. Everybody's keeping pace with the star. And then once Sol, S-O-L, or Soul, gets to the photon belt itself, just as he was getting close to hit that, I want to call it the aura of the photon belt. You can see all of these light ships that were pouring out of the photon belt. And they just went a battling all these suckers that were behind Sol in the solar system, and then behind the solar system, because there were so many of them. And these particular ships, they were pure energy ships. And what they did, whenever they shot something, I expected it to explode, but it didn't. It absorbed them just that fast. In a blink of an eye, these suckers were gone. Okay, and I was like, this is ships that are coming out of the photon belt. So this is all of our brothers and sisters that already made it into the photon belt, and then they came to help us. Okay, so this was a big deal, my brothers and sisters. This is something that if you put it on a screen, it's absolutely mesmerizing to think that what was going on, because we had so many people that were involved. So now let's jump to the fact that we're inside the photon belt. None of those guys in the bad, negative, whatever, could not come into the photon belt. Okay, and so what they do is they retreat. Okay, they go further back into the other part of the galaxy. Okay, because they cannot come in here. But there's others that actually goes around it, and trust me, they're going to be there when we pop out. So, or I should say that version of the Earth, whenever she pops out, they'll be ready for her. Okay, and that's whenever you hear about, we have all these gifts, talents, and abilities. Well, at that time, we're going to be using those major Superman, Superwoman abilities to fight off the finalization of this here AI control, because they know we hit the photon belt and they know we're going to pop out eventually, about, I would say, about 2,000 years from now. But there's different versions of Earth that's going to pop out for different reasons. But for this scenario, it'd be about 2,000 light years. So to take us a lot longer, because we're not traveling at no million light years a minute or a mile. So it varies on how long it's for us it's going to come out of the photon belt. But I do find all of this story very, very fascinating, my brothers and sisters, that God has showed me so much, and also gave me information on how this all came into play. And that in itself is a very fascinating story too, because just like the question is, okay, we have a dome. Well, how did it get there? Okay, the dome was put up here by these avians, or Aryans as they're called, and also the Andromedans. Okay, and the Lyrans and the Palladians. Okay, they all had a hand in this. And why it was put up is because this area, this 100,000-mile circle that we are in, became contaminated. That's the best way to describe it, because of all of the different genetic modifications that were being done to our brothers and sisters on a grand scale, on a very nasty scale. And if you've ever heard of the T virus, as some people call it, it's like the ultimate virus that will destroy everything and takes over. Well, that's what these other extraterrestrial beings considered it as, and God did, considered it a ultimate virus that needed to be contained. And that's whenever the dome got put up on there. Now, the dome was impenetrable. You can call it like an iron dome if you want to. But because it was such a high frequency, a God frequency, no other race below that can have access to get inside this dome. So that isolated us inside the dome. Okay. And now we have been here for quite a while. Nothing could get in, nothing could get out. Okay, but the Anunnaki was already here whenever the downsized us immensely until we are these short people, if you want to call it that, compared to them, because some of them were up to 40 feet tall. Okay, they were very, very tall beings. Okay, but whenever the dome got put up, they had some monstrosities that were here that were well over 1,000 feet to 2,000 feet. Can you imagine Titans walking around on this land? Okay, and that's why it was when it got destroyed. From what God showed me, we've all heard of the angel from the south, north, south, east, and west, four of them. Okay, well, God brought in these four Titan angels. These suckers were well over 2,000 feet tall. Okay, and they came with these fiery axes. They weren't necessarily fire, it was just like the tip of the blade had been sitting in the kiln and it was really red, blood hot. Okay, and whenever they started swinging these double-bladed axes, it was just taking these trees down like a knife through butter. Okay, and then all the giants that were here, of course, they were freaking out, and then they tried to climb these trees and stuff like this here so that they can escape the flood that's coming. Okay, and they couldn't. So, and they were fighting against these here angel titans and trying to keep them from cutting the trees down. And they couldn't, but the angel titans were taking all of the trees, and these are monster trees. They're taking these trees and they're throwing them into the ocean, and they were cleaning out the land because they wanted to make sure that none of these things could survive. Now, the ones that were thought about and were cared about, they were told to go underground. A lot of people got saved for that reason, but for the most part, it was catastrophic, and it was to kill or wipe out all of these giants and stuff like this here. Okay, and then that sized down a lot of them, and then the ones that were left, this would be the second reset that they did. They petrified everybody. Now, these giants were somewhere around between, 800 feet to 1,000 feet, and we can see those in mountains. Okay, we can see them and on the sides of mountains and so forth, whether it be an animal or a person. Okay, that was the second reset, and it devastated everything. And it also had a liquefaction that was done with it, where the ground shakes so much that things will sink into it. So a lot of these here Tartaria buildings that's all over the world, these beautiful structures that nobody can seem to figure out how they were done, they have a lot more that's beneath them. And that I find that very fascinating as well, because there's entire worlds that are beneath our feet that we are unaware of. And then the third reset is what people would call Noah's Ark. Okay, and that is whenever you're looking at the dome the way I do, the whole of us, the continents and everything, seems like it sits down a little bit. Okay, and everything else is a little bit higher than that. And to me, that made me think like, well, if they open up a floodgate, we're done because we're lower than everything else. So that makes sense on how they would flood everything instantly. They just opened up the floodgates. Okay, and now here we are into this day and time, and the ice walls are down. They will prepare us to see the worlds that are out there. It's absolutely phenomenal. We only know about so many continents, but this this is on another scale. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that fascinating? Look at that. That is absolutely fascinating. And I actually got to go to an island, since you're showing that, and it's one of its names is called the Dragon Egg Island, but it's also known as Amma Island. Okay, and if you're above and you're looking down in the water, you can see what looks like, a monster egg. It's unbelievable, but it's not an egg. So about 100,000 years ago, there was a caldera, a supervolcano that went off underneath the water. It was about a mile deep. And whenever this thing exploded and spewed out all of its gut, it had these giant house size and building city-side boulders. Okay, it was unbelievable, some of the things that was spewing it out. But this particular boulder that was 2.5 miles by 4 miles by 3 miles got spat out, and it landed back in water that was also about a mile deep. And about half of it sticks out of the water like that there. Okay, and since it's been 100,000 years, it's got dirt and land, all that kind of good stuff on it. But in that catastrophic moment that all of this was going on with this super volcano, these larger boulders were, going up into the air and coming down with a lot of kinetic force and hit the top of this here particular rock. Okay, and it crumbled the top of it. And then after over 100,000 years of stuff like this here, they took me to see this island because it's one of the islands that's going to be used for the quantum medbed facilities. Okay, and as you're going to it, you can see that there's a grand opening inside at the center of this island. The whole opening itself that's been broken open is probably about a mile. But once you get there and you look down into it, my brothers and sisters, you won't believe this, but it's a 2.5 mile by 4 mile by 3 mile geode. This thing is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's so breathtaking, it'll make you want to cry because you just can't believe what you're seeing. It's just that fascinating. But it looks like this on the inside of it. I don't know if you can see that good or not, but it is a purple amethyst geode. And that's why it's called Amma Island, for amethyst. But when you're looking at it from above, it definitely looks like a dragon egg, a monster dragon egg. And I found that was very fascinating to see that and see that there's stuff that we don't even know about that actually exists. Okay, and that particular island on the inside of it, because it has fissures and cracks and stuff like this here, it's about maybe a little over half full of the ocean water itself. And because these cracks aren't big enough for things to come through, it has its own ecological system. It has its own geosystem. It's amazing. And it does have some errors because the boulders and stuff that landed down, it broke through the surface of it. It does allow for it to have some beach areas down in there, and it's absolutely fascinating. And they also have these little bubble vehicles that you can get into. You have one steering wheel that sits there. It's like a little air helicopter steering wheel, and you can move it. Forwards is going down, back is going up, left and right. But it's like a little Jetson mobile, and it's anti-graphitic, and you can actually go underneath the water, and you can see all of these here beautiful structures of these here crystals. Some of these crystals are bigger than buildings. You just wouldn't believe it. It's just mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And you can also use these here same little rides to go on the outside of the structure and go down. This is absolutely a haven for anybody that's a diver or a scientist that wants to check it out. But I feel very, very privileged and honored that I got to see it, experience it, and know that it's going to be one of the islands that will be used for the quantum medbed facilities. So I'm very excited about that. And I didn't mean to go off on left field, but I wanted to tell people about Amma Island because it's just something that I would love to show my brothers and sisters. They just would be stunned with it. It would be absolutely amazing. So.
Well, I have to say, Alisa, that might be one of the most incredible opening segments to an audio chat that we've ever really had here on the show, and really, encompassed a great deal of the meat that we were talking about or that we were going to talk about here. But I just want to clarify for the audience out there, we have it's very interesting your presentation here because it's sort of an amalgam of all three major theorems. We have
Mhm,
the globular theorem, the spherical theorem with a heliocentric, solar system model. We have a hollow Earth theorem that's been popularized going
mhm,
all of the way back really to Sir Edmund Halley and some of the maps that he purported to rely on with those conclusions. And then
mhm,
we also have, of course, the dome, the firmament, and the
mhm,
discussion of sort of the linear nature, the flat or near flat nature potentially of the Earth that we're all upon. And what you've
mhm,
described really sounds like a blending, almost really, of all three
mhm,
of those. Is that correct?
mhm. Yes, yes, it is. That's why I found it so very fascinating and interesting that God and our star families has showed me this information because it does have a way to blend everything together. It makes sense, and God asked me to, to keep it down to basics. That way, people can absorb the information and then find out more later. Because we don't want to shock our brothers and sisters. We want to give them time to think about it, or at least drop some seeds and make them start asking some questions. Because there is a possibility, yes, and hollow earth is very, very real. That dome does not just go on the top, it's a full circle, my brothers and sisters. So, and on the corners of it, from the view that I was looking at, it actually looks like it's four prongs coming off of it, like it's
Don't buy Max Charge right now while it's still 50% off.
sitting on top of something. And then below that, so help me, my brothers and sisters, below that, it looks like a bunch of greenish, brownish rocks and stuff underneath that. So I can see how people would perceive that as a turtle. Okay, but it's not. It's absolutely insane that it actually goes all the way around. So and I like that hollow picture there you got there. But yeah, there's so much more to the story. As I'm saying, I have learned so much that it just keeps going and it connects everything together. So.
So, Lisa, we're coming up here on our time crunch limit, but I do have a last question for you before we segue into how the audience can get in touch with you, and that is with respect
Okay.
to the spirituality behind all of this. Is
Yeah.
it not then the case, if we subscribe to some of this being, truthful, is it not then the case that our spiritual identity is almost tantamount to us having amnesia about it at this particular point? Is that a fair characterization of where humanity may be in our development?
Yeah, we are waking up from the amnesia, but we knew about that before we got in here. I'd like to see that waiver we signed, but we did agree to forget, and that's part of the journey. That's part of the journey is to realize who and what you are. You are God in a body, my brothers and sisters. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and you can't change facts. And what our journey is to realize who and what we are and wake up to that fact. Because once you realize what you are, and we do it collectively, we can change the entire movie just like that. We start seeing it now with our more positive energies, with the current events that's going on, with everything that Trump has done. Should I say since the November 5th? The energy has been going up. And the higher the energy goes, the more things that are going to come out that's going to be exposed. Good things, but it's also showing us, all of the bad guys that we need to know. I don't know about you, SG, but for the past, I guess, 8 to 10 years, every one of us, or at least people my age, have been getting a recap and a rehash on a crash course on history, geometry, and all the leaders. And who's in play, and now we are aware of who's in Congress, who's doing what, who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, and stuff like this here. And it also helps us whenever you think about everything that's been going on in the government with these people. For so long, they didn't make all these major mistakes like they're doing now on TVs and stuff like this here. So to me, that is deliberate. It's planned so that we can see more. And also with Trump coming in the door and just boom, 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 dropping things off. My brothers and sisters, this stuff was planned. That stuff was already sitting on a shelf, on a table, on a cabinet somewhere. He already had everything set up whenever he walked in that door. He knew exactly what he was going to do. So things are rolling out mainly because of our positive energy, and that's going to lead us into a very beautiful technological world. So,
Very, very powerful, Miss Seoni. Thank you
mhm,
very much for that recap and for tackling such a difficult and far-ranging and far-reaching subject, right? We all want to sort of understand the nature of our reality our place and role in it. And I think that's innate within all of the human beings, certainly the audience out there following this show. How can the audience contact you if they'd like a little bit more information, if they'd like to collaborate with you on some of this research? Is there a way for them to reach out?
Yes, it is. You can contact me through freetheplanet@yahoo.com. And you can also reach me over on my YouTube channel. And I also have a lot of songs over there, my brothers and sisters, that talks about a lot of the things that we discuss in our communities. And it's a lot of positive energy, positive words, good mantras to help raise your vibrations. And like I said, it discusses, anything from God to UFOs to just, keeping your vibration up in a positive way. So I invite all of you to come over and check out this beautiful list of songs that I have. A lot of people have been calling me a UFO DJ, and I take that as an honor because I wasn't expecting it. But it's great music to listen to, my brothers and sisters, instead of just the same old stuff on the radio that has bad vibrations or even subliminal messages in it. So come check it out, my brothers and sisters. I'm sure that you'll thank me later because it's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Excellent. Alisa, thank you very much for joining us again on the show. For the audience out there, if you'd like to learn more, reach out, connect, follow along, and potentially support some of what Miss Alisa is doing, you can navigate to the links in the description box below the video. This is SGanon. I'll be back with all and each of you again soon on the Q News Patriot Rumble channel. God bless you, everyone, and stay safe today on this phenomenal and incredible Earth. Thanks.
Thank you.
From whispers, secrets grow, voices heard, the truth must flow. A force unseen with truth so clear, they give us strength to fight our fear. SGanon helps bring the light, in the dark they are the fight. A mighty force to help us see, breaking chains, minds are free. Unknown's working hard unseen, a helping force for you and me. With the courage we break free. Now we are truth, a shining sea. Not all heroes have a golden crown. Quiet soldiers as the world goes round, fighting truths on unseen ground, breaking free beyond their bounds. Rising voices heard so loud, from cyberspace they are proud. They hold secrets like a shroud, and their truth draws a crowd. SGanon helps bring the light, in the dark they are the fight. A mighty force to help us see, breaking chains, minds are free. Anon's working hard unseen, a helping force for you and me. With our courage we break free. Now we are truth, a shining sea. Not all heroes have a golden crown. Quiet soldiers as the world goes round, fighting truths on unseen ground, breaking free beyond their bounds. All their posts become strong in a network where they belong. With their help we can't go wrong, they fight for truth till the dawn. SGanon helps bring the light, in the dark they are the fight. A mighty force to help us see, breaking chains, minds are free. Anon's working hard unseen, a helping force for you and me. With our courage we break free. Now we are truth, the shining sea. Not all heroes have a golden crown. Quiet soldiers as the world goes round, fighting truths on unseen ground, breaking free beyond their bounds. Working hard unseen, a helping force for you and me. With the courage we break free. Now we are truth, the shining sea. Not all heroes have a golden crown. Quiet soldiers as the world goes round, fighting truths on unseen ground, breaking free beyond their bounds. Thank you, SG.